Forestrike just dropped from Devolver Digital, and it's got one of the smartest mechanics I've seen in a roguelite in years. You can practice every single fight as many times as you want before you commit to the real thing. Sounds like it would make a game easy, right? Yeah, no, this game still will absolutely destroy you. I put in about 6 hours into this one and I've got some thoughts. Let's talk about whether the innovation here is worth your $10. So, the core mechanic is called Foresight. Before any fight, you can enter a meditative state where you practice the encounter over and over again. You see exactly where every enemy is going to do, you test your moves, you figure out positioning, and you plan your sequence like you're solving a puzzle. Then, once you think you got it, you exit Foresight, fight for real. Here's the thing though, if you lose the real fight, your run is over. All that practice was just practice. This creates a really interesting tension where you're like, okay, I've beaten this fight 6 times in practice mode, I know exactly what to do, and when you go live, you panic, you hit the wrong buttons, and you're dead. It's brutal, but it's also kind of brilliant because the failure is always on you. You had every opportunity to prepare. I can't think of another game that does this. Shogun Showdown was similar DNA with the turn-based planning, but this is real-time execution, which makes it way more intense. Combat itself is this interesting mix of beat 'em up and puzzle game. You're always outnumbered, so you have to think about positioning, timing, which enemy to hit first, and when to dodge. There's a rhythm once it clicks. You pick from different martial arts schools, and each one plays completely differently. The Leaf style is all about evasion and redirection. Very defensive. The Cold Eye school is about tanking hits and counterattacking. There are 5 schools in total, so there's a decent variety to how you approach runs. The pixel art is gorgeous, animations are smooth, and when you nail a fight perfectly, it feels incredible. There's this flow state you hit where everything just works. But here's my concern. The moment-to-moment combat is satisfying, but it does start to feel samey after a while. You're kind of doing the same thing over and over, just getting better at execution, which leads to my main issue with the game. This is where Forestrike might lose some of you. The meta progression is light. Like really light. Most roguelites give you steady drip of unlocks, upgrades that make subsequent runs feel different or easier. You're always working towards something even when you fail. Forestrike leans way harder into the player skill than permanent progression. You do unlock some techniques, I'm not gonna say you don't. And there is progression, but it's minimal compared to something like Hades or Dead Cells. The philosophy here is basically get good, practice more, execute better, that's your progression. For some players, that's exactly what they want, pure skill expression, no crutches. But if you're like me and you appreciate that meta layer giving you new ways to play or smoothing out the difficulty curve, this might feel a bit thin. After several runs, I wasn't thinking, oh cool, what am I gonna unlock next? I was just thinking, man, I need to not mess up that fight again. That's a different kind of motivation, and it doesn't work for everyone. So who should buy this? If you love Sifu and you want that precise martial arts combat but in a roguelite structure, this is for you. If you're the kind of player who watches your own replays to figure out what you did wrong, you'll love this. If you want that game that respects your time by letting you practice but still demands execution, Forestrike delivers. Oh, and back on the own replays, every time you do a battle, whether you win or lose, it replays the whole thing for you, so you know exactly where you went wrong. Who should wait? If you need that meta progression hook to feel like you're making progress, this is going to frustrate you. If you bounce off of games that are mostly about execution over build variety, wait for a sale. And if you're already exhausted by difficult games, the Foresight system helps, but it does not eliminate the punishment. The difficulty is no joke. Even reviewers who loved the game, like myself, called it brutal, and it is brutal. You will die a lot, even with unlimited practice available. The Foresight mechanic is genuinely innovative. It's one of those ideas that makes you wonder why nobody thought about it before. Planning fights like puzzles and then executing them in real time is satisfying in a way that few games achieve. But the light meta progression holds it back from being a must-buy for me. I wanted more reasons to keep running beyond just getting better at the same fights. And they are procedurally generated. The fights are different, but after a while, they all kind of run together. The combat loop is tight, but it needs more variety in the long term. Would I buy this at $10? Yeah. If you know what you're getting into, this is a skill check game, not a meta progression grinder. If that sounds appealing, it's worth full price. If you're on the fence, wait for a sale. Metacritic has it at a 77 with 80% critics recommending it, which I feel is about right. Brilliant idea, solid execution, just needs a bit more depth to really stick. Let me know in the comments if you tried Forestrike and whether a Foresight system worked for you, or if you need those unlocks to feel progress. I'm curious where you all land on this one. If you made it this far in the video, a like and a sub would be very much so appreciated, and as with all of my reviews, I have a first impression Let's Play on the channel that should be on the screen right now, and I'll link it in the description if you want to see more in-depth gameplay. I'll be back tomorrow with another video. Peace out.